Come be a part of the Brookdale community, where students from all countries and backgrounds are accepted.
Jesteście tutaj mile widziani.
You are welcome here.
Você é enviado aqui e obrigado por fazer parte de nossa comunidade.
You are welcome here.
Você é bem-vindo aqui. Obrigada por fazer parte da Brookdale.
You are welcome here.
Jij is welkom hier en dankie dat je deel is van Brookdale.
You are welcome here.
از صمیم قلب همگی خوش آمدید.
You are welcome here.
Brookdale è davvero accogliente.
You are welcome here.
You are welcome here.
And welcome inside the Robert J. Collins Arena in Lincroft, New Jersey for another edition of Brookdale Basketball here on Tuesday Night Hoops on BTV. I'm Tim Califamo alongside Brian Gowser at Brookdale. The men's teams get ready to take on the Bergen County Bulldogs. The Bulldogs have had a tough year this year, Brian. They're looking to try to rebound, whereas Brookdale is looking to continue to stay on the track that they are on. They took down Union County at home on Sunday just a couple of days ago. Very impressive win over a good Union County team that doesn't necessarily have a good record, but is a good team. They're just looking to try to continue that momentum for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and that game we saw on Sunday, it featured so many fouls, but where Brookdale took advantage of was they made their free throws. They closed that game out, got to the line 39 times, remarkable, and made 33 of them, so they were able to close out that game, gave them something to feel good about, and now trying to keep that going, start a long winning streak.
And of course, we talked about how Bergen has had a difficult year on the opposite end of the spectrum. They just have had a tough year getting to the foul line, making their foul shots. They've had difficulty shooting from around the perimeter, but Bergen does feel, I talked to some of their coaching staff down on the floor, that they play better, actually, ironically enough, on the road than they do at home. So we'll see if the Bulldogs can come out with a strong start and possibly make it interesting in the Collins Arena tonight. The starting lineup for the Brookdale Jersey Blues, they'll start with Jordan Smith, Tyler Hawkins, Emilio Stevenson, Khalil Campbell, and Jameer Calhoun, which is a slightly different lineup from what we're used to seeing on the floor for the Jersey Blues, as you see it pop up on your screen right there. Brookdale going with a little bit of a smaller lineup to start things off. And then for the Bergen Bulldogs, it'll be John Bigiani, Brett Flory, along with Nick Navarro, Shamar Fields, and Joshua Spears. Our officials this evening are Nathan Anderson, Tyler Trilling, and DeJuan Jones. And we are underway after Brookdale is able to win the opening tap. Taking it away now for the Bergen Bulldogs and blowing the layup there at the other end. The ball will stay here, though, on this side of the court with 25 to shoot for Bergen. That got off to a very quick start.
And you touched on Bergen playing well on the road. The record would support that. 5-7 on the road, that's not great, but they're only 1-5 back home.
Inside, a tough shot by Navarro is blocked away out of bounds. It'll stay here with Bergen with 22 to shoot. Bergen in the away orange uniforms, Brookdale in the whites as Navarro posting up inside, can't get the jumper to drop, and the rebound is taken by Campbell. Hawkins along the baseline, kicks it out. Stevenson for a three, and he rattles it in. Emilio Stevenson, who had 3 threes just a couple of nights ago, gets Brookdale on the board 3-0.
Yeah, and you see what this starting lineup allows Brookdale to do. It allows them to be quicker, and you saw the ball movement moving crisply and quickly, finding Stevenson spotting up, and he makes good on the three.
Feed inside to Joshua Spears along the baseline, and Spears was on the baseline, so it's a turnover there for the Bulldogs. So just about a minute left as we take a look at the official starting five for the Bergen Bulldogs. You see them pop up there on your screen. They've had some issues this year. One of their best players, John Black, was unfortunately sidelined for the remainder of the year. He's been inactive since January 8th. Averaged just over 20 points a game. They have been trying to go without him, and it's been a struggle this year for the Bulldogs, but they're hanging around with Brookdale early on here in the first half. This is Fiore. Shot clock winding down here, down to 7. It's taken away by Tyler Hawkins. Hawkins at the other end is fouled, and he'll go to the foul line for 2 shots.
Yeah, John Bigiani was going to ensure Hawkins didn't have an easy basket in transition that time, commits the foul, and now Hawkins has to earn it from the line.
So it's the first on Bigiani, and it's the first personal charge to Bergen in the first half. And Tyler Hawkins will go to the foul line. Highly regarded by the coaching staff. Was talking to his father, actually, before the game. He's very proud of his son. The 6'2" freshman from Tinton Falls, New Jersey, can't hit the first shot of a two-shot foul. Shoots 75% from the line this year. Misses them both. But Khalil Campbell able to scoop it up for Brookdale, and the shot clock resets for the Jersey Blues. Jameer Calhoun, a left elbow jumper is good.
And Calhoun, typically we see him shoot his jumpers standing still. That time kind of a fadeaway going to the side and gets it to drop.
Bigiani. Now over to Shamar Fields. Fields, the hook shot. It falls after it bounced around the rim a few seconds in the paint, and Bergen's on the board 5-2.
That's what you call getting a friendly roll.
Jordan Smith inside. The jumper doesn't fall, as we're having a little bit of a technical issue there with our replay monitor. Here's Stevenson after the rebound. Calhoun, another jumper, and this time at the other end of the floor, he's able to knock it down.
So Calhoun off to a good start previously from the elbow. That time he finds space along the baseline. He's 2 for 2 to start.
Let's take a look at that last jumper there by Fields. Bergen down by 5. Here's Spears along 2. Doesn't fall. Rebound Campbell. Brookdale's a team that likes to push. Here's Calhoun, this time on the other side of the baseline, and Jameer Calhoun has gotten off to a hot start. In the last game, he had 18 points, 11 rebounds, a double-double.
And just nicely done in rhythm that time. Smith, the dribble penetration, sets up Calhoun, is on the other side of the baseline, as you mentioned, feeling it to start.
Long three there by Nick Navarro is good, right in front of Coach Chizak, and Bergen now down by 4, 9-5. Calhoun at the right elbow, another turnaround jumper. This one is short for Calhoun. Rebound is controlled by Fiore for the moment, and he's fouled on the floor. So the foul will be charged against Emilio Stevenson on Brookdale. That'll be his first personal, and the first on the Jersey Blues. As John Bigiani will come out of the game, in for him for the first time, Alex Victorino. As again, we take a look at this shot there by Fields that rattled around and was able to drop. Is actually Spears with the jumper, my apologies.
That hit every part of the rim as you got a second look.
This is Fields. Feeds it inside to Spears. A tough shot with 3 bodies on him. He's able to adjust, and the Bulldogs are within 2. Smith lost it as he was driving his way to the paint. Now here's Fiore, who literally was on the bench all the 30 seconds. He lost it as he was spinning his way inside of the paint, and a jump ball is called. Possession arrow points Bergen's way. So a quick start for both teams. Remember, this is a Bergen team, Brian, that struggles to get points on the board. They aren't the greatest field goal shooting team, only shooting 40%. As here's Navarro from the corner, he knocks it down, and Bergen's got their first lead of the game.
And Navarro, that's twice now, has seen enough space to release a 3, and he's made them both.
Nick Navarro had 16 points against the last game that Bergen played in the losing effort against Rowan College. He had 16. Smith open for the top of the key 3. He drains it.
Yeah, and Smith coming off what was easily his best game. It's a small sample size. He's only played in 3, but 16 points in the win over Union. And down the stretch, he was key, making his free throws.
Joshua Spears, another 3 consecutive threes in this ball game, and Bergen retakes the lead.
And at 6'5", he poses matchup problems with the ability to shoot it from that distance.
Both teams shooting lights out as Khalil Campbell, a tough shot inside with contact, and Brookdale goes back up by 1.
Yeah, good pace to start. Both teams looking fluid offensively, good ball movement, finding the open shooters, and both teams making a high percentage of their shots.
Brookdale in a man-to-man defense. Fiore inside, guarded by Smith, has it blocked, and it's tapped out to Smith. Smith ahead of the defense, will throw it down with one hand. 16-13. 14:30 left here in the first half. Victorino, right arc three, too strong, and the rebound is controlled by Stevenson. Now here comes Tyler Hawkins, feeds it inside to Calhoun. Calhoun had excellent position, and he easily chips it in off the glass.
And that time the setup from Hawkins, dribble penetration, finding Calhoun. Previously, all his points had come on jumpers. That time, though, the layup.
Fiore thought about a three, now feeds it inside to Spears, and Spears gets the teardrop jumper to fall.
So Spears showing a little inside-outside game. He had just hit a three, and that time, little baby hook.
Brookdale in control by three. Smith tried to feed it inside to Calhoun. It's taken away by Victorino. Bergen can tie on this possession. They take a three. Top of the key off the front rim. That was Aiden Lawrence not able to hit the jumper. And now coming the other way, here's Tyler Hawkins in the paint. The pull-up. Last touch by Brookdale will go back to Bergen. I apologize, it was actually Shamir Fields, not Aiden Lawrence, taking that last three. Lawrence now checks in for Fields, who goes to the bench. And Joe Estevez also comes in for the Bulldogs. As Randy Sutton checks into the ball game along with Terra Gatling for Brookdale, as Jameer Calhoun and Emilio Stevenson go to the bench.
So Sutton back to a role that he's comfortable with in coming off the bench.
Fiore, tough shot inside, was short. Offensive rebound by Lawrence. Kicks it out to a wide open Victorino for three, and he can't hit it. Mekhi Morgan also on the floor for the Jersey Blues. Behind the back pass inside to Campbell from Hawkins. Gatling, though, able to put it in for two. But oh, what a beautiful pass from Tyler Hawkins inside. It's a shame Campbell couldn't finish because it was a beauty.
That's the pass of the year. Unfortunately, Campbell missed it, but Brookdale takes advantage with Gatling creating the second chance.
Brookdale in front by 5. Fiore was looking for Spears on the baseline, last touched by Campbell. Be 9 to shoot for Bergen. Mentioned Bergen is 6-12 on the year, 5-9 in conference. This would be a huge win if they could pick it up on the road. They got to inbound the basketball. They do, as Estevez staves it from a backcourt violation. Shot clock to 5. Estevez straight on 3. Too strong. Rebound Hawkins. Randy Sutton now gets the ball for the first time. Here's Campbell. Try to dump it inside to Gatling. It's poked away. Fiore taps it up to Victorino. Victorino to the hole. Can't get the layup. Rebound is stripped away after Lawrence had it, and a foul in the backcourt on Victorino. Coach Ozzi Osbourne screaming out some instructions from the sidelines. There he is in his second season as head coach. Told me before the game, his team, the Achilles heel that they have had has been from the foul line. They only shoot 62% as a team, but that has prevented them from being in a lot of close games this year, Brian, which is, of course, anytime you can't hit foul shots, that's huge, but that's been their Achilles heel. Calhoun inside, rolls off the rim. Rebound taken by Fields.
Yeah, this is a team that can play offensively. I mean, that as you mentioned, the free throw struggles, that's a big reason why when you look at the record as a whole, and it's just 6-12, not where they'd like it.
Fields now over to Victorino. Shot clock down to 13. Victorino feed inside to Fields. A tough shot with contact is good in the paint for Shamar Fields. It's a 3-point game. Sutton over to Gatling. Back out Hawkins. Straight on 3 for Tyler Hawkins. Rolls off the rim, and the rebound is controlled by Aiden Lawrence. You see Ozzy Osbourne there on the sideline, second-year head coach. Long 3 there from Victorino is good, and we are tied up at 20.
Yeah, and Brookdale's got to tighten up the defense on the perimeter attempts by Bergen. They just have too much space, and they're making a high percentage of their three-point tries.
Gatling, a tough shot inside. He's fouled. He'll go to the foul line for 2 shots. As Bergen has come out swinging. They are not messing around and are shooting the ball very well from around the perimeter. That's about the second or third three that Bergen has gotten in this first half. As Gatling at the foul line, able to hit the first of a 2-shot foul. He's had double-digit point totals in 3 of the last 4 games. He's 6'5" sophomore from Patterson. Foul, by the way, was on Aiden Lawrence. That was his first personal. Short on the second attempt. Gatling got his own rebound, throws it up there, no good. He'll stay here with 25 to shoot.
Gatling working hard, and it was last touch. Bergen, they're going to make a last-second change here.
Nick Navarro will come back in for Aiden Lawrence, who checks out of the game for Bergen. Morgan will inbound. Smith may have gotten away with an extra step, but a clean rejection inside, and here comes Bergen with some numbers the other way.
I, too, thought he got away with the travel.
Navarro for 3, it's short. And the rebound, Gatling. Brookdale looking to push. Calhoun in transition. A just shot midair, doesn't fall. Gatling throws it up there. Calhoun, the third chance opportunity, and it finally drops. Whistle here as a warning was charged to Terra Gatling by the officials. Nothing technical, but Gatling may have said a little bit too much, and the officials gave him a warning. It's a 3-point lead for the Jersey Blues. And a fast-moving first half. We've only had 4 fouls total. Action has been hot and heavy. Navarro straight on 3, not even close. Morgan adjusts, and he is fouled by Navarro at the other end.
Yeah, Morgan got hit hard there going up to the basket. It was a nice setup there by Sutton. Little no-look pass, it looked like, as you take a second look.
Navarro actually got part ball on that, but he did hit Morgan before then, so that's why Mekhi is at the foul line, the 5'10" sophomore from Piscataway. Misses the first attempt from the line. You know, something interesting about Mekhi Morgan, he went to Piscataway High School, the Chiefs on the football side of things. 13-0, they rounded out the season this year. They beat Ridgewood in the North 5 bowl game at MetLife Stadium, the very first year of bowl games for high school football in the state of New Jersey. Nazir Best, along with Jawan Jackson, some of the stars on that side, as Morgan can't hit either one from the foul line. Spears way out of position. He's fouled by Calhoun, and Calhoun knew it right at the top of the key. It'll be I believe the first foul on Jameer Calhoun and the second on Brookdale. So Bergen will inbound with 20 to shoot. Victorino, long 2, fadeaway is short. Hawkins not even going to try to get the long rebound. It'll go back to Brookdale.
I don't think I ever noticed this, but Gatling does a lot of talking on the court. You hear him yelling out, communicating to his teammates.
Well, he is one of the sophomore leaders, Terra Gatling is, for the Jersey Blues. As a little bit of a full court press there shown by the Bulldogs. Inside, Gatling can't get the bunny to go. Fade away for Calhoun is good. And a timeout taken by Bergen, as Ozzy Osbourne is not thrilled with the way his team has been performing the last couple of minutes. Brookdale has a 5-point lead. It is not their largest lead. It's a 30-second timeout, so we'll keep it here on BTV with 8:53 remaining in the half. But I tell you what, Brian, I got to be honest, I'm surprised that Bergen has made this such a close game. They've come out swinging. They've been able to shoot the ball well from around the perimeter. And I know Coach Osbourne is not necessarily thrilled with his team being down by 5, but they look pretty sharp right now.
They do, and you mentioned it's somewhat of a surprise. It's a team that doesn't exactly come in playing their best basketball. They've lost their last 3 games, well, sometimes in a losing streak it can be misleading if you're playing close games, but not in Bergen's case. They lost them all by double digits, and I think coming to a place like the Collins Arena, it's been something of a house of horrors in the past for Bergen, but they're unfazed here in the first half, as you mentioned, playing well offensively, hitting their shots, and Brookdale yet to hit their stride tonight.
So out of the timeout, we'll see what Bergen can do. There is Coach Osbourne again. I mentioned second season, he played college basketball at the County College of Morris and then went on to play D1 basketball at Fairleigh Dickinson University. Was the captain there and the lead rebounder back in his day. Tough shot there inside, doesn't fall for the Bulldogs. Coming away with it is Jordan Smith. Smith in transition goes right at Fiore and an offensive foul on Jordan Smith. So that's the first on Smith and now the third on Brookdale in this half.
And I don't think Smith liked the call too much. Paul Chizek didn't either. We sure saw him animated on Sunday. We'll see what he has for an encore.
As speaking of Coach Chizak, Victorino almost ran over Chizak on the sidelines as he was not looking at where the ball was and almost got pushed into the bench. So you take a good look at Chizak. 27th year as head coach for the Jersey Blues. Got his 500th career win last year. As there's a discussion going on as to who's got the basketball. I thought that they had ruled that the ball was going to Bergen, Brian. Am I wrong? I don't quite see what happened there.
I don't know. It's almost like a pseudo timeout because Bergen is huddled up together on the bench while Brookdale huddles near midcourt. It's very interesting. There seems to be a disagreement as to who should have it.
I know the ball went out of bounds, and that's what Coach Chizak is saying. Now, it looks like there's going to be a technical foul here on Brookdale as Brett Fiore is at the foul line all by himself. I must have missed that. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Fiore can't hit the first attempt.
I don't know either.
I don't think the foul was on any of the Brookdale players on the floor. Maybe on Coach Chizak, I don't know. No announcement has been made. Fiore, one of the two from the line. And Bergen will get the ball back. It's Fiore, Navarro, Bigiani, Spears, along with Victorino on the floor for the Bulldogs. Fresh 30, they'll inbound. So after that obvious technical foul, maybe charged to the bench of the Jersey Blues is what we're assuming. Bergen can't come up with an answer. They're still down by 4. Smith at the other end from the foul line doesn't get the jumper to drop. Tip up though is good by Terra Gatling.
Gatling is a high flyer. I mean, he got well off the floor that time to tip that ball in.
Gatling had 15 points in the last game against Union on Sunday afternoon. That was a nail biter that went all the way down to the end. Brookdale was able to get the win by 8. Bigiani.
By the way, isn't it nice of Bergen to have their names on the back of the jerseys for us?
It's the first team all year that's had that as Hawkins intercepts the pass. Now Hawkins in transition is fouled at the other end. And he'll have 2 shots upcoming. I believe they're going to get Bigiani with his, I believe, first foul. We'll check that. Let's actually make that the second foul on Bigiani. And it will send Tyler Hawkins once again to the foul line. Talked about that Union County game just a moment ago. Brookdale won 84-76 on Sunday. They led by 7 at halftime, but they were down late with about 3 minutes left until they went on a 17-4 run to close out that game, Brian.
They forced a couple of turnovers late as Union didn't execute. They played pretty well for a team that the record didn't look as good as the team actually was, because they had some good players clearly, but it was Brookdale made their free throws and were able to close that one out.
Joe Estevez tried to feed it inside to Spears. Again, Hawkins comes away with it. This time he puts it on the floor, but Calhoun scoops it up. Brookdale resets. Jordan Smith right in front of Coach Osbourne. Cross-court pass to Hawkins. The three on the way. Front rim no good. Out of bounds. Back to Brookdale. Joshua Spears will come out of the game for Bergen. In for him will be Shamar Fields, who has 23 blocks on the year. Calhoun, tough shot is good. As Calhoun continues to heat up from around the floor.
Yeah, he's carrying the load, a guy who's been in double-figure scoring for the last 10 games in a row, and he might already be there tonight with about 10 points.
Long three is good from the corner right in front of the Brookdale bench, Joe Estevez. And Bergen is now within 7. Sutton may have carried that pivot foot, no call. Long three this time from the other end by Jordan Smith, doesn't go. Gatling inside, a tough shot. Rebound by Fields. So Bergen down by 7. We'll try to cut into the Brookdale lead on this possession. Another three. Actually, it's a pump fake inside to Fields. Fields trying to go right at Calhoun. Couldn't get the bucket to drop. Hawkins tried to force it up to Gatling. It's taken away. Now here's Victorino. Left arc three on the way. Back iron no good. Tap up though by Estevez. Bergen keeps it alive on this possession. Fiore, top of the key three. Rebound Sutton. Sutton in transition. Nice little drop off to Tyler Hawkins, who lays it in with the right hand.
Yeah, nicely done. At 3-on-2, Brookdale had the numbers. You see Sutton facilitated so often, and Hawkins just the smooth finish going to the baskets.
Back up to a 9-point lead now for Brookdale, under 6 minutes to play in the first half. Bergen has been hanging around with the Jersey Blues, but they need a bucket here. And they'll get a break as Calhoun will be charged with, I believe, his second personal foul. That is the 4th on the Jersey Blues. Terra Merritt, will come into the game for Jameer Calhoun. Tyler Hawkins also heads to the bench, and for the first time tonight, we see Stephon Forbes for Brookdale. Navarro right at Terra Merritt, and he lays it in, and a timeout taken by Coach Chizak as Bergen scores right out of the inbounds play. It'll be a 30-second timeout for the Jersey Blues, so we'll keep it here on BTV. Tim Calafamo alongside Brian Goudsworth, the rest of our BTV crew. And the second game of our doubleheader tonight, we saw the Brookdale women escape, I should say, with a win over the Bergen County Bulldogs earlier this evening. Brookdale looking to go 2 for 2. They need a win to secure a spot in the Region 19 tournament, I should say. They're 11-7 right now. They're just above 500. And the rules are you can be 500 either in conference or overall record. That's how you make it to the tournament. Brookdale obviously has enough wins that if the tournament were to start today, they would make it. But they can't take any chances. They really kind of have to win out for the rest of the year.
It's trying to be more consistent this season. It's been a year that's been marked by a lot of streaks. They've had both winning streaks and losing streaks, 4 and 5 games. They've won their last 2 and trying to get back to another long winning streak.
Brookdale has been on a little bit of a tear as of late after having an embarrassing loss to Ocean County where they only had 5 players active. And Jordan Smith traveled with the basketball and turns it over. Bergen bench very fired up on the sidelines. And this is a team in Bergen that we talked about how some of the players that they had earlier on this season, some of their best players, no longer are part of their roster. They've had some close losses. They played close against teams like Cumberland County, Passaic County, Camden County, but haven't quite been able to close out the deal as it's an air ball from the corner, and Sutton walked again. Second straight travel on the Jersey Blues, and Bergen gets the ball back.
Yeah, and I don't know about that call. It didn't look like Sutton had the basketball at the time that he was called for taking too many steps. Nonetheless, though, it is a turnover.
Fiore gives it off to Estevez, now back into the corner for Fiore. Shot clock down to 15. Field shuffled his feet, another turnover. That's 3 straight traveling violations in the last minute on the floor. Alex Victorino checks in. John Bigianani goes off to the bench.
Well, 3 straight turnovers, but Brookdale hasn't been able to take advantage as the deficit has remained 7.
Smith on the floor almost had it stripped. A timeout is taken by Brookdale. They get the timeout in the nick of time. It'll be a 30-second timeout for the Jersey Blues. So once again, we'll keep it here on BTV after Smith had to go down to the floor. As you see Coach Osbourne right in the face of Alex Victorino.
Yes, certain members of our crew are fascinated by the fact that he shares a name with a famous singer. So I think that's why we're getting a lot of looks at him.
Very talented player. When, as I said, he was at County College of Morris, then went on to play at Fairleigh Dickinson. He's got the size, he's got the height for sure. He stands about 7 foot.
He's also got the intensity to be a head coach. You see him yelling out to his team time and time again.
And Bergen is trying to turn around their men's basketball program. The last couple of years, it's been a struggle, and they feel like they've gotten the right guy. And certainly from the intensity level that we're seeing coming off of that bench, they certainly have got someone that is very actively involved, directing his players. And, you know, we talk about sometimes how former players are the best coaches sometimes, because they know exactly what to tell their players because they've been in those positions. And that's, I think, what you see with Coach Osbourne as the shot clock is starting to wind down here for Brookdale out of that timeout. Sutton with 5, over to Gatling. Brookdale, I don't think, realizes the clock is down to 2. Sutton forces up a prayer at the end of the shot clock, and that'll be a shot clock violation.
Yeah, I think you're right. It just didn't look like there was enough of a recognition as to the shot clock winding down there, and Sutton just forced to throw it up and nothing doing.
I will mention that Brookdale beat Bergen back in November 109-70. We are nowhere close to a type of effort, at least in this first half tonight. Long 3 from the corner by Estevez is an air ball.
Yeah, that's a 39-point victory, one of Brookdale's most dominating performances of the season.
Forbes, left wing 3, front rim no good.
Forbes really trying to get on track. He's just hasn't quite been able to find the range since he's joined this team.
Estevez was looking underneath for his teammate Spears, and it's a turnover. You see Coach Chizak there on the other sidelines, 27th season as head coach. Nearly a backcourt violation, and it will be on the Jersey Blues. Yet another turnover in this first half. Very uncharacteristic of Brookdale to start off this game. We didn't see, even though the Union County game was close, Brian, this amount of turnovers, especially by Brookdale, let alone in the first half.
Yeah, I think the turnover number for the season is higher than they'd like it for a team that usually executes very well offensively. This has been a year that we talked about, a transition kind of year, and turnovers have been a bugaboo at different points.
Navarro couldn't hit the 3. Now Hawkins at the foul line. The jumper is good. And Tyler Hawkins puts Brookdale back up by 9. Approaching 2 minutes left here in the first half. Navarro in stride, blocked away inside by Smith and Gatling. I think they'll both get credit for that rejection. And they'll give the ball back to Brookdale. I thought it was last touch by the Jersey Blues. Coach Osbourne is arguing that, but Brookdale keeps possession of the basketball. Forbes will try it again from the corner. This one doesn't drop. Fiore over Forbes, blocking foul on Stefan Forbes, and Fiore will go to the foul line, and now another whistle.
They just got a technical foul.
That is the second technical foul charge in this game to Brookdale. And it's on, I believe, Terra Gatling. We'll check it. It's either on Gatling or Forbes. And it is on Gatling.
Now, they called a technical foul earlier in the half. We didn't catch who it was on.
It must have been on the bench, Brian, because I did not hear it be assessed to any of the Brookdale players that were on the floor at that moment. So again, Brett Fiore at the foul line. This is the second time he's done this. He makes the first. So just to clean this up, Forbes got charged with the actual personal foul. Gatling, got charged with the technical. Each of them picked up their first personal. And after Fiore makes them both from the foul line, now he will shoot 2 shots from the foul that Stefan Forbes committed. So double trouble for Brookdale.
That's how you see a lead evaporate very quickly.
Well, certainly not what you want to do with the clock stopped, as Fiore now 3 out of 3 on this possession. The 6'2" sophomore from Oakland, New Jersey, shoots only 59% from the foul line this year. You wouldn't know it. He made all 4. It's a 5-point game. Full court press for the Bulldogs. Gatling, by the way, went to the bench on that last possession. Khalil Campbell in for him. Here's Campbell at the feet of Forbes, and Forbes couldn't handle the pass. Sloppy first half for Brookdale, and it has allowed Bergen, who have made their shots, give them credit, to hang around as we are approaching the final minute of the first half. Fiore over to Spears. Inside to Navarro. Shot clock down to 10. Fiore has it stripped. Here comes Hawkins on the break. To the hole, lays it in with the right hand.
Well done by Hawkins in transition. There was a defender there for Bergen. It was Victorino, but Hawkins unfazed, able to get it to go.
Fiore. Long 2 from Navarro is off the heel. Brookdale looking to run here. Smith goes right at the hole, and he's fouled.
Boy, that would have been some finish by Smith, just weaving through a host of Bergen defenders and just kind of slipped out of his hands, but almost made the shot.
So Jordan Smith at the foul line, as the foul is on Shamar Fields. That's his first personal, and the 6th on Bergen. The 6'2" sophomore from Hazlitt, New Jersey, played football at Keene, as you've heard Brian and I talk about a couple times during the year. Makes the first shot. Had a big layup in the last game against Union, along with a couple of crucial baskets from the foul line that really put Brookdale over the edge.
That was a great play he had on the break, able to elude the defender. I think it was the basket that put Brookdale in the lead, which they would not relinquish.
Smith makes them both on the line. It's a 9-point game. Bergen cannot hold for the final shot, as there is about a 3-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. Bulldogs are looking at the shot clock. It's down to 17. Fiore doing a lot of dribbling. Gets it into Navarro. Straight to the hole. Missed the layup. Campbell the rebound, and now Brookdale, if they choose, can hold for the final shot. Hawkins with 3. Kicks into the corner. Sutton at the buzzer. Front rim no good. Navarro the rebound, and that will end the first half. Well, 39-30. Brookdale in front, but give credit to Bergen. They have made things interesting, Brian, in this first half. They are not going away and have made things to the point where Brookdale has turned the ball over a lot. We've seen a lot of uncharacteristic turnovers in the first half of the Jersey Blues, and give the Bulldogs credit. They've made their shots both inside the perimeter and from along the three-point line.
Yeah, and oftentimes you can tell when a game starts if a team is prepared to play. And clearly, Ozzi Osbourne and his staff got the Bulldogs ready to play this game. They were in it from the jump. They started well offensively. But for Brookdale, I think they set the tone with Jameer Calhoun, and I thought kind of got away from that later in the second half. So I would look for them to come out in the second half, get the ball in Calhoun's hands. We know he can shoot it. He can score from inside. He's kind of become the go-to offensive player for the Jersey Blues, and I look for more of that in the second half.
We saw Calhoun have a big game against Union County, but almost similar to this game, he wasn't very much involved in the first half. He came on strong in the second half. Brookdale, though, still holds a 9-point lead at the break, 39-30. We'll take a break at halftime, come back for the second half on BTV after this. And we're getting ready to start the second half here in the Collins Arena here on Brookdale TV. Tim Kettlefam alongside Brian Gownswood. Brookdale leads 39-30 as the Jersey Blues have a 9-point lead, but the Bergen Bulldogs have remained close and consistent in this game, Brian, knocking down their shots, being right there, and they are giving Brookdale all they can handle on the floor.
And I think the key for Brookdale defensively is going to be to contest the three-point attempts. We saw Navarro make a couple early. Overall, Bergen did a good job shooting the basketball. That has to be the adjustment for head coach Paul Chizek in the locker room, and we'll see what changes coming out here in the second half.
14 points for Jameer Calhoun. He led the way for the Jersey Blues in the first half. For the Bulldogs, it was Nick Navarro who had 8 points. 2 of them were from behind the three-point line. And we'll see what happens here in the second half. Brookdale sometimes has taken all the way until the second half before the team finally hits their stride, but this game has a little bit of a different feeling than what we've seen in the past as Fiore, all types of contact. A late whistle is fouled at the other end, and he is down on the floor as he got hit hard.
That was, you said it, I mean, that was a very late whistle. Brookdale had almost gotten the rebound going the other way, and then the whistle was blown, but the concern right now is for the injured Fiore.
Coach Osbourne now going to walk out just to make sure his player is okay. Man, that was a very, very late whistle. As Fiore is helped up off of the bench. I should say off of the floor. He's being talked to by some of the officials. I think he just hit his head, honestly, on the hardwood as he was falling down to the ground. The foul, by the way, will be on Jordan Smith. That is his second. And the first on Brookdale in the second half. Getting a talking to from some of the officials just to make sure Fiore is okay. Again, our officials this evening, Nathan Anderson, Tyler Trilling, and DeJuan Jones. And now Fiore is going over to the bench, and one of the head officials is walking over to Coach Chizak. So I'm not quite sure what is being, unless possibly, Brian, maybe this is a flagrant foul, possibly, that they're discussing. I'm not really quite sure. Unless maybe Fiore is going to come out of the game, and in for him, someone's going to shoot his foul shots from the line.
It's a mystery to me. I mean, like we said, it was a late whistle. Fiore was shaken up on the play. So this is a long conversation ongoing.
So instead, it will be Shamar Fields, who shoots 62% from the line, taking the place of Brett Fiore. After he walked over to the bench, he appeared to be okay, but I maybe think that Coach Osbourne is not going to take any gambles here with one of his best point guards, as Fields couldn't hit the first attempt from the line. The 6'5" freshman from Patterson. Foul shooting has been an issue for Bergen in their season. He makes one of the two from the line, and it's an 8-point game. So a weird way to start the second half. Bergen once again going with a relaxed full court press. Gatling along the baseline. Now back out to Sutton. Right arc three on the way. Doesn't drop. Calhoun tried to spike it off of Navarro, and he did. He saved it from going out of bounds. It'll stay here with Brookdale.
That's a good heads-up play by Calhoun. It's interesting that Brookdale has started the second half with the starting five that they had become accustomed to the last couple of games after the game began with the likes of Emilio Stevenson and Khalil Campbell, but going back to their more regular unit here.
Yeah, Coach Chizek just going with a little bit of a slightly different lineup to start the game. Confusion here as Hawkins is waiting for the basketball. 29 is on the shot clock for Brookdale. Smith now over to Hawkins. Sutton goes baseline, now kicks it out Hawkins. Hawkins from the corner is good. And Brookdale now up by double digits, 42-31.
I think this is the first time that they've gotten the lead up to double digits. They had it at 9, but that's when the technical foul happened, and that quickly went down to 5.
More on that in just a second, as here's Victorino, guarded very tightly by Jameer Calhoun. Bigiani. Ball will stay here with Bergen with 5 to shoot. Yeah, on that technical foul, Terra Gatling picked up a technical foul for something that he said late in the game, but that first technical foul that was what Brian and I thought was charged to the Brookdale bench actually was on Coach Chizak, not because he said something, but because he was on the playing court. So they got him for being on the court. Bigiani to the hole, off the glass, a high arcing shot is good. Smith a straight on three. This one he drains from the top of the key.
That's just good perimeter ball movement, finding Smith, and he had too much space that time to get that shot away.
It's now a comfortable 12-point lead for Brookdale. Spears a little bit out of position at the top of the key. Over to Fields. Bigiani falling down, may have gotten away with a walk. Here's Fields inside to the hole. Too strong on the layup attempt. And now Fields is in the backcourt, slow to get up. Brookdale 5-on-4 opportunity coming the other way. Hawkins inside to Gatling, he lays it in for 2.
That's just a great pass by Hawkins. I thought he was going to take that pull-up jumper. He was in rhythm, but saw Gatling alone underneath, and a great setup.
And now we've opened it, Brookdale has opened it up to a 14-point advantage. Inside Fiore with some contact, doesn't get the call, but the putback is good inside for Bergen. As you saw that last bucket there from Gatling on the low block. 3 minutes into the second half, Calhoun a jumper, off the heel, no good. Tipped around, Sutton came up with it. It'll go back to Bergen as he touched it last out of bounds. Bergen is on the floor with Spears, Fields, Bigiani, Fiore, and Victorino. Whereas the Jersey Blues, who spread out on this defensive possession going man-to-man, Sutton, Hawkins, Calhoun, Smith, and Gatling on the floor. Left elbow jumper for Fields, front rim no good. Sutton. As Brookdale continues to work the wall around the perimeter, dangerous cross-court pass to Smith. Hawkins inside, traveled.
Yeah, and that possession results in a turnover, but it's clear coming out here in the second half that Brookdale is executing much better offensively. We're just seeing crisper passes. They're making shots inside and out, and they built up the lead to its largest point.
Remember, Brookdale led 39-30 at halftime. They lead by 12 now, 47-35. Fiore, that almost went in off the front rim. No good, it was poked away from behind. Gatling to Calhoun in the lane. Clean rejection by Fields. On the baseline, it goes back to Bergen. Wow. Shamar Fields, I mentioned, he had 23 blocks on the season. He's got his 25th because he had one earlier in the game. Nice defensive play made by the freshman. Bergen needs a bucket here. Fiore to the hole. Tough layup with the left hand, doesn't go. In transition, Gatling ahead of the defense, flushes it down with two hands. Bulldogs trying to answer with Victorino. Too strong. Spears the rebound. Reverse layup rolls off the rim, no good. Once again, pushing the ball up the floor. Smith, a wide receiver catch, and he lays it in. Timeout, Bergen. Jordan Smith, the former wide receiver at Keene, makes a wide receiver-esque catch over Fiore and finishes it at the other
receiver going up to catch a jump ball thrown by the quarterback that time. That's what it looked like, and Brookdale clicking on all cylinders here in the second half. This has been impressive to watch.
Mentioned the incredible game that Jordan Smith had late in the game against Union. He had 16 points, 2 steals, some crucial foul shots at the end of the game, as here's that two-hand flush by Terra Gatling. That was right before the most recent timeout that Coach Osbourne called. And we talked about how Bergen had kept it close in the first half, and they're not out of this game by any stretch of the imagination, Brian, but it's clear the momentum has shifted towards the Jersey Blues.
No doubt, and that's the reason for the timeout taken by Bergen. Really needed a chance to kind of redevise what they're going to do here in the second half because they have seen it get away from them.
Navarro couldn't finish inside the paint. Fiore, the feed inside of Navarro. Tough shot. It goes. May have been some contact. No call. Sutton, right at Navarro. A tough layup is good for Randy Sutton.
That wasn't bad defense by Navarro. That was just better offense by Sutton getting around him and the tough finish to go with the layup.
Fiore right at Gatling. A tough layup goes off the glass. So layups being traded back and forth for both teams. Hawkins on the run. Flipped it over to Calhoun, and Calhoun laid it in.
That was a little fake behind the back pass that time by Hawkins. I thought he may have actually gotten away with a travel.
I think he may have gotten away with a carry, actually, but the officials let it go. Hawkins, of course, would disagree, but a nice assist. Gatling after the steal to Smith. The one-hand tomahawk throwdown for Jordan Smith, and now Brookdale just is pouring it on and showing off in the second half.
Boy, Jordan Smith is just a high flyer. Brookdale's got a couple guys, whether it's Gatling or Smith, that can finish with the best of them.
Bigiani at the other end. Calhoun throws it down with one hand as the Brookdale bench explodes. It is now a 20-point lead for the Jersey Blues. Calhoun in transition.
I mean, this is this is a show we're watching out here. This is the best stretch of basketball for about a minute or two stretch that we've seen this season. I don't think it's even close. I mean, this is just highlight reel play after highlight reel play.
Calhoun was fouled after the throwdown. The foul is on Fiore. That's his first. Can't make the three-point play from the line, but it is a 20-point lead, their largest lead of the game. Bergen needs an answer, and they need it quick. Lawrence, the jumper, too strong. Push off inside on Spears to add insult to injury. It's the first on Spears and the second now on Bergen. Coach Osbourne screaming out instructions as they'll go full court man-to-man here to try to force a turnover. They need something to go their way. Not much has gone their way in the second half. Smith, guarded by Victorino. Right elbow jumper. Gatling the tip up. He's fouled inside. Yeah, I believe it'll be on Spears again. We'll check. And it's the second on Joshua Spears, the 6'5" freshman from Teaneck. And it puts the 6'5" sophomore from Patterson for Brookdale at the line for 2 shots. First one rattles out. Terra shooting 79% this year. I mentioned the fact earlier in the game that he, in 3 of the last 4 games, has posted double figures. 21-point lead. Spears, the fadeaway is short. Rebound Sutton. Sutton, nobody going to stop him, now gets it out to Hawkins, who will try to set up the Brookdale offense. Hawkins from the foul line. Rims out, no good. Gatling the rebound, forces it up and in.
Now Brookdale's just getting to every loose ball. They're getting every offensive rebound. I mean, this has been a clinic here in the second half, building this lead up now at 23.
Brookdale only had 39 points at the break. They've almost nearly eclipsed that in less than 10 minutes. Fiore with 1 foul is fouled. No, he traveled with the basketball inside. Things have quickly turned. This was a close game. It feels like just moments ago, Brian, and Brookdale really opened up the second half with a ton of momentum, and Bergen has only been able to muster 9 points since the halftime break.
I mean, it was a 9-point game at halftime, and in the second half, Brookdale has played their game, to say the least, and that's been led by running and gunning, creating transition opportunities, and they're finishing on dunks.
Sutton tried the 3, and the long rebound is taken by Navarro. Navarro going coast to coast, and he's fouled inside.
He was flipped over that time. I mean, we saw Fiore get shaken up drawing a foul earlier, and this time goes down hard.
It's the 3rd on Jordan Smith, so Smith perilously close to being in foul trouble. He'll remain on the floor. It's the 3rd on the team. As Nick Navarro, the 6'3" freshman at the foul line, averages around 8 points a game. A little too strong on the first attempt from the line. He only shoots 69% as he's holding his right wrist almost as if he got hit as that foul was being committed by Smith, and that's possibly bothering him a little bit. Aiden Lawrence comes into the game as Joe Estevez checks out for Bergen. Missed them both from the line, and they'll go back to Brookdale. This is a team that only shoots 62% combined from the line this year, and they have struggled mightily this season from the foul line. It has been a unfortunate storyline for Coach Osbourne's squad, as Smith couldn't connect. And now here comes Bergen looking for some points. Navarro in transition, no. Smith the rebound.
And when you leave that many points at the free throw line, it just reaches a point where it's demoralizing. And that, I think, is what has affected Bergen this season.
Bergen only shot 55% from the line in the 95-57 loss to Rowan College at Gloucester County on Saturday. As Smith, another traveling violation. Shamar Fields comes in for Aiden Lawrence, who comes out of the game for the Bulldogs. Randy Sutton also now will come in after literally all of a minute on the bench for Jordan Smith, along with Khalil Campbell. He'll check in for Jameer Calhoun. Brookdale obviously in no desire to have any of their bigs pick up any more fouls. Calhoun has had a very impressive night. Tough shot inside goes for Bijanati.
And nice move, and he just kissed it off the glass, kind of a fadeaway as he got into the paint.
Gatling bounce pass to Campbell. Campbell, tough shot off the glass. It goes for Khalil Campbell. Campbell had 11 points in a breakout game against Sussex earlier this season, but has been quiet really ever since. Getting some playing time here. Fields inside a nice 2 as he beat the defense on the low block. 64-43. Brookdale spreading out in this offensive possession. They're on the floor with Sutton, Stevenson, Campbell, Hawkins, and Gatling. Campbell inside, another layup, this time with the left hand for Khalil Campbell.
Just nicely done. Stevenson, the dribble penetration, and he found Campbell underneath the basket. That's 2 guys we haven't seen on the floor at the same time too often this year, and they combine on a nice basket.
Freshman to freshman. Navarro working it on the low block against Stevenson. And just the struggles from around the perimeter continue for Bergen. They have an opportunity here, though, on a fast break. Bijanati inside, can't get the layup to fall. Tap out. Bijanati was on the baseline. Substitution here, or maybe not. Joshua Spears was going to check in. Now he comes in for Nick Navarro. Joe Estevez also will walk onto the court as Alex Victorino goes to the bench. Full court press once again for Bergen. Mekhi Morgan also on the floor for Brookdale now. Fiore on the quick steal, will lay it in at the other end with the left hand. Brookdale trying to handle this full court press. Stevenson now in the corner. Gatling, tough shot. Some contact inside, no call. Campbell is rejected, and the ball is saved out of bounds by Spears, but he throws it into the first row.
Well, it was a good effort by Spears trying to steal an extra possession there for his team, but to no avail.
Brookdale will call a fall timeout. We'll take it with them. 8:35 left here in the second half. You're watching Brookdale TV live from the Collins Arena tonight. Back after this. Brookdale leads 66-45 out of the inbounds play. Here's Gatling, the jumper. Rolls off the rim, no good, but he's able to get his own rebound after it was tapped out by Campbell. Part of our doubleheader tonight as the Jersey Blues squared off against Bergen. The women were victorious earlier tonight in a close one, as Coach Brunson's team picked up their 18th win this season. Brookdale on the men's side looking to pick up their 12th, as another traveling violation on the Bulldogs. As it has just been that type of a second half. Wouldn't say that type of a night, because in the first half Bergen played extremely well, but in this second half the wheels have just come off the wagon, and Brookdale has been able to answer at every opportune time, as Campbell in transition will lay it in for 2.
Yeah, I think at one point this game was tied at 20, and then Brookdale was able to separate themselves a little bit in that first half, took a 9-point lead into the locker room, but this half it has just been all Jersey Blues.
Bijanati is fouled and then rejected emphatically by Terra Gatling. That won't count. John Bijanati will be at the foul line for 2.
Oh my goodness, Terra Gatling.
Gatling stands at 6'5". Bijanati at 6'2", the freshman from Ridgefield. Had 21 points, a career high against Ocean County, as he can't hit the first one from the line. However, Bijanati has only had a combined 10 points in the last 3 games. He averages 7 a game and has been below his average. Bijanati makes one of the 2 from the line. Foul was on Campbell, that's his first. As we take a look at this last foul shot. Under 8 minutes to play. Pass was deflected by Victorino. Shot clock down to 10. Here's Morgan in the corner. along the baseline. Mekhi Morgan was on the baseline. A turnover there for the Jersey Blues.
I think Morgan just didn't quite realize where he was there, driving to the basket, looking to kick it back out to the perimeter to try to set up a three-point attempt.
Spears strong to the hoop inside the paint. Able to get the shot to go. It's a 20-point lead as Bergen continues to go with this full court press. The bounce pass to Stevenson hit him in the legs, and it'll roll out of bounds. It'll stay here on this side of the floor.
Yeah, going to the press is how they hope they're going to get back into this game, by forcing some Brookdale turnovers. Jersey Blues, though, have done a good job beating it. Haven't really turned it over too much, caused by the press.
Hawkins. Now over to Stephon Forbes, who just checked in. Hawkins on the drive. He's fouled. You know, that's something actually that Bergen County, even though things have obviously swung in Brookdale's direction in the second half, that's one thing that they've done a solid job of limiting in this game. It has been fouls. They have only had, by my count, roughly 10 fouls in this game. This is a team that averages 22 personal fouls a game. So they have cleaned up the amount of silly fouls that they have committed in past games. However, one of the other things that Brookdale is closing in on is 85 points. That's how many that the Bulldogs average giving up on defense. As Hawkins didn't have a very good trip to the foul line that time. Fields puts it on the floor, and it's scooped up by Stevenson, who saved it to Calhoun. And away comes Brookdale up the other end of the floor with Hawkins again. Saving it as he's falling it out of bounds. It's tipped around. Still here on this side of the floor. Forbes will scoop it up. Shot clock did not reset, by the way. It's down to 10. Hawkins with 4. Inside, offensive foul on Tyler Hawkins, I believe. I think he threw the elbow. I talked about that in the last game. He was close to getting a couple of offensive fouls called on him. He's a strong dribbler and certainly is very good with the basketball, but sometimes he has a tendency to extend that arm, and that'll get you an offensive foul every time.
Yeah, I think we saw that a couple of times in the game against Union. I think he went up with 4 personal fouls in that game, and we were talking about the fouls overall, and it's really been a turnaround in this game because Union, the fouls racked up on both sides to a huge number.
Fiore able to get the 3 on the inbounds. It's taken away by Estevez, but he can't finish with the jumper. Brett Fiore shoots 35% from behind the line this year. Unfortunately, it's been in the losing effort so far in the second half tonight. Stevenson right at Navarro. Once again was on the baseline. Gatling and Smith come back into the game for Khalil Campbell and Tyler Hawkins, who will go to the bench. That may be the last time we see Hawkins in this game. If this continues to go Brookdale's way, I can't imagine that Hawkins would have too many minutes left. With, of course, Brookdale in full command here. Fiore from the foul line. Navarro, the 3 is good. 2 straight 3s for Bergen, and now they are within 15.
And Navarro had the hot hand early on, but we haven't really heard from him much here in the second half.
Stevenson, a nice pull up in the paint, and it's 71-54. Watch Stevenson come to a full stop here. Nice jumper. Mentioned that Stevenson had 3 3-pointers in the win last Thursday against Harrisburg Area Community College. As Estevez, an NBA range 3 for Bergen. 3 consecutive 3s on offense, and Bergen is not going away as we approach 4 minutes left in the ball game. Smith once right into Navarro, and a foul is called. Who's it going to be on?
Ozzi Osbourne, head coach for Bergen, feels it should have been offensive.
Catalfremo alongside Brian Gals with the rest of our BTV crew. I was mentioning the upcoming schedule for the Jersey Blues a moment ago. Bergen has to play Lackawanna. That's their next game as Smith out of the inbounds pass. Count the bucket and the foul for Jordan Smith out of the timeout. He'll go to the line and try to tack on an extra point from the charity stripe. He's pushing a career night once again. He had a career high 16 points against Union. He's close to that threshold already. But I mentioned Bergen, they'll play Lackawanna College on Wednesday. That game will be held at the Barclays Center, Brian.
I did notice that looking at the Bergen schedule, so that's a big deal for them, getting to play in a professional venue. Home of the Brooklyn Nets, of course.
Lawrence fell down. And Smith walked once again. Nets have been playing better as of late, Brian.
They sure have.
Still, though, in my personal opinion, I liked when they were the New Jersey Nets, not the Brooklyn Nets, but
I'm with you 100%.
My personal opinion.
I'm with you 100% on that.
I kind of miss the days of Richard Jefferson, Jason Kidd. Oh, there were so many wonderful players on those teams. Yeah, yep. Vince Carter. Wow. Great players. But they'll play at the Barclays Center. That'll be their next game. They play at Rockland Community College on the 24th of January, and then home against Atlantic Cape. That's the upcoming schedule for Bergen. Smith, a fadeaway along the baseline, doesn't fall. And Fiore turns it over as he was looking for cutting Fields. And Chizak and company told me before the game they feel that they have the team that they finally want. And they finally have the players that they're looking for. Point guard position, around the perimeter, down low. They finally feel like they have the complete package as Campbell, the standout freshman who's actually been playing very well the last couple of games, puts it in for 2. But Brian, they finally feel like they have the complete package, which we mentioned in the last game. Better late than never, but certainly what Brookdale wants as they continue to try to make a run for the tournament.
Yeah, and I think it's really been a seamless transition for the two newcomers in Jordan Smith and in Tyler Hawkins, who both have played well in this game and in their 3 games since they've come here to join the team. I think they've gotten better with each and every game that has gone by. Gotten a feel for how Brookdale wants to play. Both of them know how their skill set can add to what this team wants to do, and they've been good contributors.
Brookdale will call another timeout with a minute and a half left here in the ball game. It'll be a full timeout, so now we'll take a break and step aside back after this.
Hi, my name's Jessica Popolowski.
All right, back here in the Robert J. Collins Arena, getting ready to wrap things up after a wild night of basketball here on Tuesday Night Hoops. Of course, presented by Joyce's Subs and Pizza. You can go online at joycesubsandpizza.com. Brookdale took a quick timeout with a 19-point lead with 91 seconds left here in the ball game. At the foul line, Alex Victorino mentioned that he had 19 points earlier this year against Ocean County. He averages 7 and shoots 67% from the line, the 6-foot freshman from Garfield, New Jersey. So Brookdale obviously will get a win here at home, I should say. Sussex will be the next game that they have upcoming on Thursday. As in transition, Victorino puts it in for 2. But the Jersey Blues will improve to 12-7 on the year, 12-6 in conference play. Merritt a 3. This one doesn't fall from the left wing. And for the Bergen Bulldogs, they will fall to 6-13 overall, 5-10 in Region 19 play. Campbell keeping it alive here for Brookdale as we're under a minute left to play in the game. Mentioned our doubleheader. The next time you'll see Brian and I will be on Tuesday Doubleheader, men's and women's, as Merritt gets on the stat sheet with 2 points there. Doubleheader against Atlantic Cape on the 29th, next Tuesday. Women at 5 o'clock, men at 7. We'll have those games live on BTV. And then we hit the final stretch of games. Brookdale, this will actually be, for the men that is, their last stretch of road games for the rest of the year. They'll be at home when they come back in here on Tuesday to play Atlantic Cape for the remainder of the season, the regular season that is, as Fiore's able to get another 2 to go in the paint. 81-65. Well, Bergen made it interesting in the first half. They trailed by 9 at halftime, but in the second half, it was a completely different story. Brookdale got out and ran, put points on the board, credit players like Jordan Smith for playing well. And at the end of 40 minutes of basketball, Brookdale will win their 3rd game in a row. They take down Bergen tonight, 81-65. Quite an impressive game, Brian. As I mentioned, Bergen really put on a strong effort. They did their best, but this was a team that I think surprised a lot of people in a sense that they made the game this close. We talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, Brookdale had blown Bergen County out on the road at Bergen earlier this year by nearly 40 points, and somehow miraculously they only lose by 16 in the game. So there definitely is progress being made for Coach Osbourne's team. They still have a long way to go, but you have to credit Bergen for the way that they fought in this game.
Absolutely, especially in the first half. They made the game interesting. They were executing offensively early on in the first half, but then you look at the second half and how things turned around for Brookdale. It's not that the Jersey Blues played poorly in the first half. They just took it to a new level coming out of the halftime adjustments. And for those few minutes that we saw the highlight after highlight in the fast break, dunk after dunk, I commented at the time, I thought it was the best stretch we've seen them play this season. It was a thing of beauty to watch, and they built a lead as large as 20. It wound up going up from there and get themselves another victory.
And then, of course, looking ahead for Brookdale, I mentioned they go on the road with 3 straight road games before they come back here on Tuesday to play Atlantic Cape. Where does this team go? Because it finally looks like they've shaken all that rust off from that 3-game slide.
Yeah, now they've won 3 games in a row. They're incorporating the other parts that they didn't have earlier on in the season. So now, as you mentioned, they know what group they have, what group is going to lead this team to be successful. Guys like Jordan Smith, Tyler Hawkins joining the group, and it looks like a successful team. It looks more like the team we saw last year. Not nearly on that level. Obviously, that was a special team going undefeated. But the way they played in the second half started to show you a glimpse of what they can be.
Well, they get their 12th win tonight, 81-65 over the Bergen County Bulldogs. Brookdale will be back in action on Tuesday. We mentioned a men's and women's basketball game, a doubleheader on Tuesday against Atlantic Cape. Those games start at 5 and 7 p.m. So for Brian Goudsworth, I'm Tim Kettlefam with the rest of our BTV crew saying good night and so long for the Robert J. Collins Arena. We want to thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you back here on Tuesday. Have a good night, everybody. In transition, Gatling ahead of the defense, flushes it down with 2 hands. Once again, pushing the ball up the floor. Smith, a wide receiver catch, and he lays it in. Hawkins on the run, flipped it over to Calhoun, and Calhoun laid it in. Gatling after the steal to Smith. The one-hand tomahawk throwdown for Jordan Smith.
Smith is just a high flyer.